Folks, this is a example of a CertO2 charting profile example. We're going to send the diver down 160 feet. We're going to keep him there for 30 minutes. So it's going to be a 160 for 30 schedule. You can see that up here on the chart, 160 for 30. So we have to go ahead and clearly this is going to be a decompression dive. The reason we know that is if we go over here to the Navy tables, we see that the no decompression time limits here are 7 minutes for 160 feet. So if we go to our Navy tables, we can scroll down and see what our options are. Now we know we want to do a CertO2 because that's more efficient, obviously. So let's take a look at what we have here. 150, here's 160. So for 160 for 30 minutes, if we were to do in-water air stops, which we're going to have to do because CertO2 protocol tells us that we have to do in-water stops on air 40 feet and deeper. So we have a 50-foot stop for 2 minutes here and then a 40-foot stop for 6 minutes. If we were to do all in-water air, we'd have to go to 30 feet and then 20 feet for 62 minutes, but we're not going to do that. We're doing a CertO2. So we do the 2 at 50, the 6 at 40, and then we bring the diver directly to the surface. We take 1 minute from 40 feet for the Navy charting purposes only. As I mentioned in class, in reality, we would want to keep a 30 foot a minute ascent rate and make that time up in the undress time. Okay, so 160 for 30. Let's go back to our chart here and fill in our schedule. Here's our first stop, 160 feet for 30 minutes. We're leaving the surface at 9 o'clock here on the chart. And 160 for 30 is our first stop. And then we're 50 feet for 2 minutes in the water, decompressing on air. And then 40 feet for 6 minutes. Our next stop is going to be the surface, 0 feet. And this is important right here. A lot of you have been forgetting this. The Navy allows us for charting purposes only 3 minutes and 30 seconds to undress the diver and begin pressurization in the chamber. They also allow 30 seconds to pressurize. That equates to 4 minutes, and add in the 1 minute from 40 feet for the surface from the water column. That totals 5 minutes. The overarching theme here, folks, is the time from when the diver leaves 40 feet until they get to 50 feet and get on oxygen in the chamber cannot exceed 5 minutes. So let's go ahead and chart this guy here, and we'll just figure it out as you go. Okay, so 160 for 30, that's a pretty gnarly profile because they give you a repeat group of Z. So the diver is Z'd out over here on the right. We would never want to repeat a diver after a CertD. Commercially, it's just not done. But nonetheless, we're going to put Z. The Navy does give us a repeat group, so we're going to write that in here and here. We have no repeat group going in. All of these examples I give you, there's no repeat group. So we're leaving the surface at a nice round number at 9 o'clock. That means we're leaving the bottom, hell or high water, at 09:30. Now, reaching the bottom, the Navy allows you, and we can make up an arbitrary number. You know that in real life, your ears are going to dictate how fast you get to the bottom. It does not matter as far as your decompression profile because the time from when you leave the surface until the time you leave the bottom is the Navy definition of bottom time. So Navy says 75 feet per minute. If you want to write in a number here, 75 goes into 162 times and some change, so we round it up to 3 minutes. So no 903, we reach the bottom. 0930, we leave the bottom. Now, our first stop in the water column is going to be at 50 feet. So the diver is going to be leaving the bottom and traveling the 50 feet at 30 feet per minute. Okay, 30 feet per minute, we bring the diver up slow. That distance traveled is 110 feet. As I told you back in 104, we take the depth in feet, multiply it times 2, and that will be your ascent time in seconds. So we are traveling 110 lineal feet. That is 220 seconds. That equates to 3 minutes and 40 seconds. We round that number up to pad the diver's decompression. So we round it up to 4 minutes, and we start his decompression at 09:34, even though he may have arrived there earlier. So we pad it a little bit. Add your 2-minute water stop to that right here, your 2 minutes, and you leave that stop, that 50-foot stop, at 09:36. 09:36, you leave 50 feet. Now, the Navy also says that the time between 10-foot stops only is included as part of stop time. So we simply add 6 minutes to that, and we leave our 40-foot stop at 9:42. 9:42 is what time we're leaving 40 feet. We don't really care what time we reach 40 feet as far as the chart goes, but in reality, we want to bring them up slow, nice and slow. Should take us about 20 seconds in reality. Okay? Now, here comes the caveat for the Navy. The Navy allows you 1 minute to the surface from 40 feet. That's to keep consistent with their charting examples. This is for an example only. In reality, we are not going to bring a diver up faster during the last atmosphere of pressure. That's going to increase their likelihood of decompression sickness, in my opinion. So we're going to maintain a 30 foot per minute ascent rate in real life. However, for the chart, for these in-class examples, we're going to stick to the Navy protocol to pick a number. So we take that 1 minute that the Navy allows us, we add it to the 09:42, reaching the surface at 9:43. And here comes the next caveat. We add 3 minutes and 30 seconds is what the Navy allows us for surface undress time. You're actually going to be doing it a lot quicker in real life. We'll get to that when we do actual SIRDs in class, in lab. That diver will be leaving at 09:46:30. Navy allows us 30 seconds to pressurize, which is actually ridiculous. There are a few chambers that can get pressurized 30 seconds unless you have a heck of a lot of storage. Our chambers, we can get close, but nonetheless, 30 seconds is what the Navy allows us. That puts us reaching 50 feet at 09:47, a nice round number. Now, per SIRD 02 protocol, the first 15 minutes is always done at 50 feet to spike the PO2s. So we take 15 minutes, add it to 9:47, and we slide the chamber at 10:02. The diver stays on oxygen. He has 1.5 periods to do here. It tells you that on your Navy chart over here. 1.5 periods right here on the right. So here's your half period right here, but we're going to complete a full period between 50 and 40 feet. So we slide the chamber, the diver stays on oxygen. We don't care what time we get there as far as charting purposes go. We simply add 15 minutes to our leave time, and we're going to leave 40 feet and begin an air brake at 10:17. So we have one full period here. Every 30 minutes you must take an air brake for 5 minutes to cut down on that potential for CNS oxygen toxicity. Those free radicals are damaging cells, and we need to give the body time to catch up and repair itself. So we take an air brake for 5 minutes, breathing chamber air. Oxygen is secured in the chamber. We reach that air stop at 10:17, and we leave that air stop at 10:22, 5 minutes later. Now the chamber is not moving. It is staying at 40 feet. This is where we're going to complete the remaining portion of our SIRD 02. So at 10:22, we go back on oxygen here. 10:22, add 15 minutes to it, and we're leaving at 10:37. So per Navy protocol, we're going to shut off the O2 at 10:37, hang up the masks, and then start to slide to the surface. The slide from the chamber to the surface per Navy protocol is 30 feet per minute. Imagine that. Allowing you to go 40 feet per minute in the water and 30 in the chamber. Makes little sense to me. Our chambers are going to move a lot slower than that, as you know. So we're going to decompress the diver. He's on air at this point, and we slide the chamber to the surface. In a perfect world, that should take us 80 seconds or round it to 2 minutes at 10:39, reaching the surface. Commercially, most divers and dive companies, dive contractors will go on oxygen as soon as the diver is in the chamber, and they'll breathe it all the way to the surface. This is the way SIRD 02s were done for many years prior. Start on O2 at the beginning and go all the way to the surface, of course taking air breaks in between. So there you go, 1039 reaching the surface. Fill in all of this information on your chart. Make up some numbers for your bank pressures, fill them in. Bank number 3 has nothing in it. I put a line through it. Question the fitness to dive, safety briefing, wind speed, sea condition 2, Beaufort scale, total time of dive. Some people get confused by this. It is leave surface to reach surface. Leave surface water to reach surface chamber, 1 hour 39 minutes. Okay, and it's surface air and chamber box checked off. And then we also want to make sure that we sign our chart at the bottom and date it. Okay, hopefully that will give you some help doing your first few SURDO2 charts. Check them over, check with your teammates, make sure they're accurate, make sure you all agree on the decompression profile and the times, more importantly.